In the bustling city of Lagos, Aisha lived in a grand mansion with her husband, Mr. Adewale, a wealthy businessman, and their 3 children. The Adewale family was known for their riches, but within the walls of their home, Aisha felt invisible. Aisha was a devoted wife. She woke up at dawn every day, preparing fresh meals for her husband because he hated food from the fridge. Aisha, Adewale often said coldly, "You know I don't eat stale food. If you can't cook fresh meals, what use are you as a wife?" Those words stung Aisha, but she remained silent, pouring her energy into pleasing him. She cared for the children, managed the household, and made sure everything was perfect for Adewale. Yet, he rarely noticed her. He never complimented her, never took her out, and never showed her off to his friends. Aisha began to feel like a servant rather than a wife. One afternoon, while she sat in her kitchen peeling yam, her best friend, Funmi, visited. Funmi was vibrant, confident, and always dressed elegantly. She looked at Aisha with concern. "Aisha, you look so tired. When was the last time you did something for yourself?" Aisha gave a tired smile. "I don't have time for that, Funmi. My husband and children need me." Funmi shook her head. "And who needs you? Look at yourself. You're beautiful, Aisha, but you've forgotten how to love yourself. If you keep living like this, you'll lose yourself completely." The morning after Funmi's visit, Aisha sat in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. Her skin looked tired, her hair was tied back in a rough bun, and the oversized wrapper she wore did nothing to flatter her figure. She barely recognized herself. The woman who had once been vibrant and full of dreams now looked like a shadow of her former self. Funmi's words echoed in her mind, "You've forgotten how to love yourself." Taking a deep breath, Aisha whispered to herself, "It's time for a change." The next day, Aisha decided to visit a salon, a place she hadn't stepped into since her wedding day years ago. As she entered, the staff greeted her warmly, though she felt self-conscious. "Welcome, Ma. How can we help you today?" a stylist asked. I need a change," Aisha said hesitantly, running her fingers through her dull, unkempt hair. "Something elegant, something that makes me feel alive." The stylist nodded with a smile. "Say no more, Ma. We'll make you look like the queen you are." Over the next few hours, Aisha was pampered like never before. Her hair was washed, trimmed, and styled into a sleek, modern look. The stylist suggested soft curls that framed her face beautifully. When she saw her reflection, Aisha gasped. She looked radiant, her confidence beginning to bloom. From the salon, Aisha went to a boutique recommended by Funmi. The shop was filled with vibrant fabrics, stylish gowns, and elegant shoes. Aisha hesitated at first, feeling out of place among the other shoppers, but Funmi's voice of encouragement rang in her mind. "Can I help you, Ma?" a sales attendant asked. "Yes," Aisha said, her voice gaining strength. "I'm looking for outfits that are beautiful. Something that makes me feel confident." The attendant smiled. "We have just the thing. Follow me." Aisha tried on several outfits, fitted dresses, flowing skirts, and colorful blouses. When she stepped out in a vibrant Ankara dress that hugged her figure perfectly, she stared at herself in the mirror, amazed. The dress highlighted her natural beauty, and for the first time in years, she felt proud of how she looked. "You look stunning," another shopper said, smiling warmly. Aisha blushed, murmuring a quiet thank you. She purchased several outfits, including a pair of heels and matching accessories, and left the boutique feeling like a new woman. Back at home, Aisha began incorporating self-care into her routine. She started waking up earlier, not to cook but to meditate and exercise. She followed beauty tutorials online, learning how to apply light makeup that enhanced her features. She even treated herself to skincare products, reviving the glow she had neglected for years. Her children noticed the change immediately. "Mama, you look so pretty," her youngest daughter exclaimed one morning. Aisha laughed, hugging her. "Thank you, my love. I want to look good for myself and for all of you." Her confidence grew, and with it came a newfound sense of independence. She began reconnecting with her passions, including her love for jewelry design. With Funmi's encouragement, Aisha started a small business selling handmade necklaces and earrings. She even attended a local women's empowerment seminar, where she met other women who inspired her to continue her journey of self-love. As weeks passed, Aisha's transformation was undeniable. She walked with her head held high, her posture exuding confidence. She no longer hid behind her old clothes or avoided social gatherings. Instead, she became the woman people noticed when she entered a room. One Sunday, she attended church wearing a fitted emerald green dress with gold accessories. Her makeup was subtle but flawless, and her hair was styled in soft waves. As she walked into the church, heads turned, and murmurs of admiration filled the air. "Is that Aisha Adewale?" one woman whispered. "She looks so different, so beautiful," another replied. Aisha smiled to herself, no longer feeling the need to explain or apologize for her transformation. Her husband, Adewale, noticed the changes too, though he pretended not to care. One evening, as she prepared for a dinner outing with Funmi, Adewale walked into the room. She was wearing a stunning red gown with gold earrings, her hair swept into an elegant updo. "Where are you going dressed like that?" he asked, his tone gruff. "Out with a friend," Aisha replied nonchalantly, not even glancing in his direction. "You've been going out a lot lately," he said, his voice tinged with irritation. Aisha turned to him with a calm smile. "Yes, I have. It's important to take care of myself, don't you think?" Adewale was taken aback. For years, he had been used to her catering to his every need, but now she was prioritizing herself. He didn't know whether to admire her or feel threatened. As Aisha walked past him, he caught a whiff of her perfume, floral and intoxicating. For the first time in years, he felt a pang of jealousy and regret. He had ignored her for so long, and now it seemed as though she no longer needed him. Aisha's transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. She had learned to love herself, value her time, and pursue her dreams. The woman who had once lived only to please others was now living for herself. As she stood in front of her mirror one evening, admiring the woman she had become, Aisha smiled. She no longer needed anyone's approval, not even Adewale's. For the first time in her life, she felt free. At first, Adewale didn't pay much attention to Aisha's transformation. He was accustomed to her routine of catering to his needs without complaint. When he noticed she had styled her hair differently or dressed more elegantly, he assumed it was a fleeting phase. "Why the sudden change in appearance?" he asked one evening as she walked past him wearing a fitted Ankara gown and light makeup. He glanced up from his phone briefly before returning to his screen. Aisha smiled softly. "No reason, Adewale. Just taking care of myself." He grunted in response, dismissing her words. But as the weeks passed, her transformation became undeniable. Aisha was no longer the woman who lived to serve him. She carried herself with newfound confidence, speaking with an air of independence that startled him. Adewale's irritation began to grow when he realized that Aisha wasn't seeking his approval for her changes. One evening, as he returned home from work, he found her on the phone, laughing softly. She was dressed in a flowing emerald green dress, her hair styled into soft waves. "Who are you talking to?" he asked sharply, setting down his briefcase. "Oh, just a friend," Aisha replied casually, her voice light and unconcerned. She continued her conversation, ignoring the furrow in his brows. Adewale clenched his jaw, the laughter from her conversation gnawing at him. Aisha, who had once waited eagerly for his return, now seemed perfectly content without his presence. The thought unsettled him. One evening, during dinner, Adewale couldn't contain his frustration. Aisha had prepared his favorite meal, but instead of serving it herself as she always did, she allowed the housekeeper to handle it. She sat at the table, gracefully eating her portion, her posture upright and her demeanor calm. "You've been acting differently lately," Adewale said, breaking the silence. Aisha raised an eyebrow. "Have I?" she asked, her tone light but with a hint of amusement. "Yes," he continued, his voice firm. "You're always dressed up, going out, laughing on the phone. Who exactly are you trying to impress?" Aisha set down her fork and looked him directly in the eye. "I'm not trying to impress anyone, Adewale. I'm taking care of myself. Something I should have done a long time ago." Her words stung, though Adewale masked his discomfort. "And these friends you're always talking to, are they the reason for this change?" Aisha smiled faintly. "If you must know, Funmi has been encouraging me to rediscover myself. As for my other friends, I don't think I need to explain myself to you." The firmness in her voice shocked him. He realized that the woman sitting before him was no longer the docile wife he had grown used to. She was confident, self-assured, and unbothered by his opinion. The final straw came one Saturday afternoon. Adewale returned home unexpectedly from a business meeting and found Aisha preparing to leave. She wore a stunning red dress with gold accents, her makeup flawless, and her perfume intoxicating. "Where are you going dressed like that?" he asked, his tone more demanding than curious. "To a lunch meeting," she replied, checking her reflection in the mirror. "I'm discussing my jewelry business with some clients." "Jewelry business?" he echoed, his confusion turning to irritation. "Since when do you need a business?" Aisha turned to face him, her expression calm but firm. "Since I realized I can do more with my life than wait on you. I have talents, Adewale, and I'm finally putting them to use." For the first time in their marriage, Adewale felt a pang of insecurity. He had always believed Aisha's world revolved around him, but now it was clear that she was building a life outside of him. Adewale's jealousy grew when he noticed Aisha receiving attention from others. At church, he overheard women praising her transformation. "Aisha looks so elegant these days," one woman whispered. "Her husband must be so proud." But Adewale wasn't proud, he was worried. His colleagues began noticing too. During a company dinner, Aisha arrived late, dressed in a sleek black gown that turned heads. His business partner leaned over and whispered, "Your wife is stunning, Adewale. You're a lucky man." The comment, meant as a compliment, only deepened Adewale's unease. He realized he had neglected her for years, and now the world was noticing the gem he had overlooked. One evening, Adewale couldn't hold back his frustration. "Aisha," he said as she prepared for another outing, "I feel like I'm losing you." She paused, turning to look at him. "Losing me? Adewale, you never had me. You had a version of me that existed to please you, but you never saw me for who I was." Her words pierced through him. He sat down heavily, his hands clasped together. "I admit I took you for granted," he said, his voice low. "I was wrong. But I don't want to lose you now." Aisha sighed, her expression softening slightly. "Adewale, I've learned to love myself, and that love doesn't depend on you. If you truly care about me, you'll need to prove it." Her words left Adewale with a lot to think about. For the first time, he realized he needed to fight for his wife, not as a possession, but as a partner. As Aisha's transformation continued, her newfound independence and confidence left Adewale increasingly unsettled. He couldn't ignore her beauty, elegance, and the air of mystery that now surrounded her. But what truly pushed him into jealousy was her mysterious friend. One evening, while Aisha was on the phone, laughing softly, Adewale walked into the room, his curiosity and irritation mounting. "Who are you always talking to, Aisha?" he demanded, his voice sharp. Aisha smiled slyly, her tone calm. "Why does it matter, Adewale? I'm just enjoying a conversation with someone who appreciates me." Her response was calculated. Femi had suggested the idea of creating the illusion of a romantic interest to make Adewale realize her worth. It wasn't easy for Aisha to go along with the plan, but she trusted her friend's advice. Over the next few weeks, Aisha kept up the act. She spoke on the phone at odd hours, occasionally dropped hints about meeting a friend, and began receiving small bouquets of flowers, sent by Femi, of course. One evening, as she prepared to leave the house wearing a striking yellow gown that accentuated her radiant complexion, Adewale couldn't contain himself. "Who are you meeting?" he asked, his voice tinged with desperation. Aisha adjusted her earrings, glancing at him briefly. "A friend," she said, smiling knowingly. "A man," he pressed, his fist clenching. "Perhaps," she replied nonchalantly before walking out the door, leaving Adewale seething with jealousy. The thought of losing Aisha to another man consumed Adewale. He began watching her every move, his usual composed demeanor replaced by a restless energy. He noticed the way other men complimented her, the way her laughter seemed brighter when she spoke to someone on the phone, and the way she carried herself with a confidence that had nothing to do with him. One day, Adewale confided in his best friend, Connor. "I think my wife is seeing someone else," he admitted, his voice heavy with worry. Connor laughed, shaking his head. "Adewale, your wife isn't seeing anyone. She's finally seeing herself. She's realized her worth, and now you're scared because you've ignored her for years. What should I do?" Adewale asked, his pride giving way to genuine concern. "Show her you've changed," Connor advised. "If you truly love her, fight for her." Realizing he couldn't win Aisha back on his own, Adewale turned to his family and kinsmen for help. He invited them to the house, explaining the situation and seeking their advice. "We must show Aisha that she is valued and respected," said Adewale's uncle, a wise elder in the family. "She has endured much, and it is time you acknowledge her sacrifices." With their support, Adewale planned a formal reconciliation. He knew he couldn't undo the years of neglect, but he was determined to show Aisha that he was willing to change. One weekend afternoon, Aisha returned home to find her living room filled with Adewale's kinsmen. The elders sat in a circle, their expressions serious yet kind. Adewale stood among them, his posture uncharacteristically humble. "What is this?" Aisha asked, her brows furrowed in confusion. One of the elders rose and spoke. "Aisha, we are here on behalf of Adewale to ask for your forgiveness. He has realized his mistakes and deeply regrets the way he has treated you." Adewale stepped forward, his voice soft yet sincere. "Aisha, I know I failed you. I took you for granted, and I ignored your worth. But your transformation has shown me the incredible woman you are, the woman I've been blind to all these years. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm begging you for a chance to prove that I've changed." Aisha listened quietly, her emotions swelling. She had longed for this moment for years, but now that it was here, she felt conflicted. Her transformation had taught her to love herself first, and she no longer craved Adewale's validation. "Adewale," she said after a long pause, her voice steady, "I appreciate your words and your effort to make things right. But forgiveness doesn't mean I will go back to the way things were. I found my voice, my strength, and my happiness. If we are to move forward, it must be as equals. I will not lose myself again." Her words stunned the room, but Adewale nodded solemnly. "I understand, Aisha. I don't want the old version of us either. I want to build something new, something better." From that day forward, Adewale made a genuine effort to change. He became more attentive, helping with the children, showing interest in Aisha's business, and even learning to eat leftovers, something he had sworn he would never do. Aisha, in turn, allowed herself to open up slowly, though she remained firm in her boundaries. She continued to prioritize herself, balancing her roles as a mother, wife, and businesswoman without compromising her self-worth. Their marriage became a partnership, built on mutual respect and love. Aisha's journey of self-love had transformed not only herself but also her family. And though it had taken years of pain and effort, she finally felt at peace, knowing she had reclaimed her life and happiness.